Alright, what's up YouTube? So this is a video that I've actually been wanting to make for a little while now, and the reason why is because I know a lot of you guys view me, right, or a lot of you guys will like towards me for advice, or like you'll ask me my opinions on things and stuff like that. And the thing is, one of like the main people in my life who's actually like taught me a lot of the stuff I know was actually my dad, who's sitting right here. So I thought that I would do kind of like a video today, giving you guys, I guess, like advice, but from my dad. So he kind of like gives you guys a bit of insight on like, I guess, the things he's told me over the years and stuff like that. So yeah, you can just like introduce yourself.
My name is Mike. Do I tell my name, my age?
Yeah.
I'm 64 years old, so I guess you can relate to my generation, as I'm probably older than your fathers are presently. So it's one generation and a half, okay? Because I had Dantes when I was 43 years old, okay? So a lot of what you're gonna hear might sound old-fashioned, and I get that, but it's the way that I was brought up in the 60s, if you can believe that.
Yeah, so I guess where we're gonna start this video then is just like asking if you could give one piece of advice to everyone like who's in their 20s, right? Okay. So like, let's say you could transport yourself back to your 20s.
Yes.
And you could give yourself one piece of advice or one thing that you would say that you could take, I guess, like as fact back then. What would it be?
Okay. I would say there would be two equally important. One is to take time as the most luxurious, precious currency. There's always going to be money around, commodities and all that, but the time that we have here on this beautiful planet is limited, and you have to make the most of it. Our lives, I believe, are made for self-discoveries, inner discoveries, and the only way to discover things about ourselves is to discover others and discover the world. So don't be afraid to go out there, explore, try stuff, you know. The only way to fail is to not try. If you never ask, the answer is always going to be no. So that's my advice, my number one advice. My number two advice would be cherish your individuality. Okay, there's a saying, I don't remember who said it, says, the world will ask you, who are you? And if you don't know, it will tell you who you are. So do not be afraid to stand alone in a crowd, to celebrate your individuality, okay? It's okay not to be part of the group think, okay? Be yourselves. That's what I would also, my second advice.
Yeah, and to like build up on that, right?
Yes.
A lot of people will always sit there and like, you'll ask them, who are you, right?
Yes.
And they'll sit there and they'll say something like, I'm Dantes, I'm 21, I'm 5'11", I work out, right? Like they'll give characteristics of what they are, you know? But it's like they won't know who they are. They won't know the reason why they are what they are. They won't know like why they have the qualities they have, what their actual wants are.
Okay.
So how would you go about telling someone like...
Well, a good clue is, what do you dream about in this life? What do you want to achieve? The dreams that we have, the hopes, the vision that we have, it says everything about why we're here and what journey we have to undertake. So the dreams are messages, okay, from beyond, telling you that you should go for this. You were created for this. You know, this is your journey. This is your path. So, you know, never think that a dream is too crazy, and also never mind what others are going to think of your dreams, because let's say I had a dream of sailing around the world, and when I was in my late 40s, Dantes was 5 and his brother Mateo was 7 years old, and with my wife we bought a catamaran and we sailed for 2 years, did 25 countries. A lot of people didn't want us to do that. They saw grave dangers and things like that, but you know what, it's the most memorable 2 years of my life, that the four of us, and this is an experience which is going to weld our souls for all eternity. No matter where we end up after the passage on this earth is done, I believe there's something beyond, something after. That's my belief. So this is something that belongs to the four of us. And I did missions with the United Nations in Africa, in Haiti, and I did some dangerous stuff in my life. But this 2 years was absolutely the most memorable experience. So if you have a dream of of doing something, cherish it and go after it.
Yeah, because like that's the thing too, right? I remember when I was first starting streaming, you know, and I was 17. I remember I would go downstairs and I would see like my mom and my dad, and I would tell them, you know, like I had 3 viewers on my stream today, you know, and they would always sit there, right? It was like a little hobby, you know, and they never really thought it would go anywhere. It was always kind of like a little pastime, if you will, right? But then it really is like commitment and dedication that actually brings you to the next level, because the thing that you come to realize in life especially is that people don't get lucky. It's not that someday someone's gonna wake up with a 6-pack, or he's gonna wake up with 7 figures in his bank account, or he's gonna wake up with a wife who he spent the last 20 years of his relationship building that thing with her, right? Like, you don't just wake up with that. It's something that you actually have to actively work towards every single day. And people will always ask me, you know, they'll always be like, how do you stay motivated? You know, how do you stay motivated to stream every day, to work out, to do all these things? And the answer is, it's not about motivation. Motivation can kickstart something, but it's discipline that will take you to the next level. It's being able to sit there and say, 5 years from now, I will thank myself for every workout I did when I didn't feel like it. I will thank myself for every stream I did when I didn't feel like it. I will thank myself for every minute that I spent studying when I could have been going out with friends, you know? And it's really sitting there and understanding that there is a bigger picture that you're working towards, and that everything you do every day is gonna add 1% towards the whole picture, right?
Yeah. To add to what Dantes just said, me being kind of old-fashioned, I was looking at Dantes do all of these and all that, and I always had in my mind, you know, like, okay, I have a backup plan in case that don't work and things like that. But to his credit, and this is for all you people out there, you're not going to create your future like that. What you can do is that you can create your habits. Your habits will create your future. Okay? So if you have a habit of waking up at 1 p.m., staying in bed, not doing much, it's not going to happen. I mean, even though you wish for it, okay, it's not going to happen. You have to create the habit of whatever it is, you know, if it's studying, or putting more hours if you think you're lagging behind. If it's sports, well, a lot of the sports legend, if you like, our hometown hero, Guy Lafleur, was a hockey god, if you want. And he used to be the first one on the ice rink and the last one out, even though he had the gift of hockey. So it didn't just say, I embrace hockey and I'm good, I'm a superstar. And he worked harder than all of the others. He created that habit, which is what made him great. So I'm sure that I can say the same thing for Gretzky, for Michael Jordan, for all of the greats, you know. So you create the habit, and the habit will create your future.
Yeah. And that's why it's like, it's about sitting there and every day making a conscious decision to sit there and pursue what you're doing. And not just to pursue what you're doing, but to know why you're doing what you're doing. Because if you sit there and you're just following what everyone is telling you to do, right? Imagine you want to become a doctor, but you don't want to become a doctor. Imagine you want to become, or you're studying to become like a psychologist, but you hate psychology, right? And you don't have that inner passion for it, then it's never really going to work out, right? You always have to have something that makes you want to do it. Even if it's like, let's say you don't want to become a doctor, but you love the financial freedom that would come with being a doctor, then that's something that you could work towards, right? So it's always, you need to find something out of everything that makes whatever you're grinding for worth it.
Yeah. And to achieve with the habits and all that, another piece of advice I can share with you guys is stop with the anxieties, okay? It's okay not to be perfect. It's okay. Stop with the anxieties. Stop stressing yourself. If I could take away all of the hours that I stress myself over things I had no control, because 95% of the stuff that happens to us, we don't have any control. If I'm stuck in traffic, I didn't have any control over the fact that I'm stuck in traffic. I have 100% control over my emotions, so I can stay there and rage like a maniac and scream, or I can put a nice little music, listen to the Eagles, whatever, and then chill and start thinking about other positive things and all that, because nothing's gonna happen by me being stressed and anxiety, and when I get home I'm furious and whatever. So control your emotions, okay? And nobody ever added an hour to his life or her life by stressing themselves, okay? So stop stressing yourself, stop with the anxieties, okay? Take your place in the world, go after what you want to, okay? Do it with heart. Like, remember when I said about what you dream will tell you? Well, you need to feel it in your heart. If it's not there, you can't bring motivation from an outside source and say, okay, the fire needs to be burning within. Then you could put some kindle sticks and some kindle wood and then make it grow. Yeah. But it's not gonna light up like that, You go for what you love. That's a great advice I can share with you.
And to talk about stress on top of it, believe it or not, but he used to have a full head of hair. And then when I was born, just disappeared like that.
It first turned gray when Dantes was born. Then when we went on the boat, I lost it all. Because I used to say, hold on to something, and he would not listen to me and all that. And I said, oh my gosh. And yes, I did stress myself over that. So that's one, that's one of the things.
Yeah, so, but no, that's the thing too. And I remember it was something that I'm pretty sure you had told me as well, where you had said, no one will ever care as much about what you do as you do,
Yes.
Like, no one will ever care as much about how you look. No one will ever care as much about how you act, about the content you're going to try posting if you want to get out there, about when you raise your hand in class and you say the wrong answer.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
how many times did this happen that the teacher says something and you're saying, should I ask this question? And then the fear of appearing like a bozo or something. And then someone raises their hand and asks exactly the question, and then suddenly the discussion starts in the classroom because 80% of the class didn't understand enough. They wanted to ask that question. So don't be afraid to.
And it's not even just that, but you also, one of the things that especially helped me with streaming, right? Because even my dad will sometimes ask me, how do you go online and say some of these things? And the reason why is because every day I understand how small I am. Every day I understand that anyone scrolling through TikTok is gonna see 1,000 clips. They're gonna see 5,000 clips. They're gonna go on YouTube, they're gonna watch 10 videos. They're gonna watch 10 different streamers, they're gonna see 1,000 different tweets. And what I say doesn't matter, because it's one of the thousands of things they're gonna read or see or experience that day. The thing that matters is the reaction to it. It's gonna be, is it gonna make them dumbfounded? Is it gonna make them happy? Is it gonna make them, laugh, right? Are they gonna find amusement from it? And that reaction is what over time, people come to remember. They won't remember you as the guy that said this or did this or this happened or that happened, but they'll remember you as the guy who made them laugh, the guy who made them, sad, if you're that kind of person. The guy that made them mad, the guy that said something so outrageous that you couldn't help but be perplexed, right? And that's what people always remember. It's not about what you say or what you do, it's about how you always make them feel. Yeah.
To add to that, if we speak about your life journey, what you're here, your purpose and all that, it's not who has the most stuff before dying wins, because we're all gonna die. We're all dying. As soon as we're born, we're dying. So we have an expiration date. Okay, so when I said enjoy life and all that, but the one true imprint that we can leave here, okay, is the souvenir in people's mind about us. Okay, the stuff we accumulated and that we give away in a will, that will disappear. The car would get rusty and whatever, people would discard the objects. But really, you will continue to live in memories because, entertain the relationships that you have with people, okay? entertain them and cherish them, because the self-discovery, you will discover more by someone else's reaction to you. You will discover more about yourself than anything else. A lot of times we do not like a person because somehow, somewhere, that person wakes up a little demon in us, and that we don't want to face it, and we're saying, I don't like that person because that person has an opinion of us. And like it or not, at one point, if we take out the ego, we realize, when we think about it, we say, maybe he's not that wrong. Okay, so be open to criticism. Okay, and that way, you know what, you will build solid relationships, and the solid relationship will translate into happiness, because people will want to be around you. Because at the end of the day, if I just can add this thing, you know, they did a study at one point, I followed the science, and they said, what makes people live longer? Okay, so they examined people that from different countries that lived the longest, people that were over 100 years old. So a fisherman in Japan, and things like, you know, a farmer in Nova Scotia, and things like that. And they discovered it was not what they ate, not because they drank less coffee and more tea. It's not that at all. They found out that the people that lived the longest were the people that actually had a routine, a daily routine, where they would salute the milkman, go to buy a little bag of grocery, mail an envelope, and talk to the post person. You know, the number of the interactions that the person had in a day. Say, I wake up, I need to see this person, this person, this person. The people that had the most relationships, the most interactions, were the people that lived the longest, because it brought them happiness, relieving stress. And again, you know what? Stress is, if you have anything wrong in your body, well, stress is just going to bring it out and put a magnifying glass on it.
Yeah. And I mean, just to build up on that, his mom, my grandma, is like 95 right now. And her, I mean, every day she has like her schedule that she does. She like makes the phone calls she needs to make. She has a bunch of activities. She does bowling. She does a sport called bocce, right? Like,
yeah. God bless her. She embraces everything. Like, if we go and she's gonna watch a show or whatever, she's gonna say, well, this person does this. She analyzes, and she takes from it the experience, the whole experience. So if she goes for a weekend with or even if she has a meal, you know, she's gonna enjoy every part of the meal, and not just go through the motions and enjoy the dessert. I mean, everything that happens to us, perhaps because maybe she knows that you know, well, everybody's time is limited, and you know, that she wants to really, but she was always like that. She was always, you know, she would like bite into life. She was always like that.
So now something I want to talk about, right, is earlier he was talking about, I guess, like relationships, and about learning your flaws from other people based off what they tell you, and working on yourself through that.
Yes.
And that's something that I can actually kind of relate to, because two of the biggest times in my life where I guess I grew, right, was actually through breakups. So there was this one time 2 years ago that I was e-dating this girl on Discord for a few months there. Don't ask me why, but it just happened, right? And after we had broken up, I remember she had told me, like, right before, about how I need to embrace who I really am and stop pretending to be this like hard ass guy online, and that I need to like really just like be the fun loving guy that I am, and stop putting this bad image, right? And after she told me that, I took her advice, and I went from like 200 viewers to 2,000 in the span of 2 months. And then with my last relationship, that was like a year ago, after that ended, the thing that I took from that was I shouldn't look for relationships, and that I should just dedicate myself to my career and my grind. And it was after that I ended up going to Europe, and then that set the whole like precedent for the growth that I went through, and now the growth I have nowadays, right? So that's why I guess like my question to you would be, were there a lot of lessons that you've learned from breakups as well that have led you to the point where like now you're married for 20 years with mom?
No, let's call them setbacks, let's say, okay? I would rather use the word detour, because we're still going to where we're supposed to. It just takes a longer route and so forth. But trouble we might have with a situation or with someone and things like that, those are our greatest teachers. I mean, they teach more about ourselves if we're open for the criticism, and we're open to the growth. Okay, for this you need to lower your barricade and not have the instant reflex of raising your hands up and saying no, nothing's coming in. Take the time to listen and take the time to reflect. Those are the greatest teachers about yourself, and it's going to make you better. Like you've seen the saying that we say a little bit, I never lose. Either I win or I learn. Okay, so that's going to be the same for you guys in this lifetime. Okay, take everything as a stepping stone. There's nothing wrong with taking a step back if it's just to take a longer stride and then jump further, jump a higher hurdle.
And when he was talking about the detour, right? The reason why he said that was because there was this analogy he gave me, right? Where he said that life is like a highway, right? And you're like a car going down a highway. And when you're gonna meet friends or like partners, right? Stuff like that, it's kind of like you're bringing someone into your car, right? And if one day they decide to leave, or if they do something that makes you want to make them leave, at the end of the day, you're just pulling over to the side of the road, dropping them off, but you're continuing down your path. And that's the reason why having a goal is so important in life, because in life, you should never chase what another person can give. You should always just chase what you want and what would make you feel fulfilled. So whatever that goal might be, whatever that dream or vision might be, that is your purpose in life. And it's not to anyone else to stop you from working towards that.
If that's true. And if we, let me add, let's say, to the metaphor that Dantes used about the car on the highway. Take it that when you leave that passenger, you're continuing on your journey on the road, but with an enhanced model, with an enhanced engine, because you know more about yourself. Your capabilities just got bigger because you're open to the criticism. So every time someone's going to tell you, you're going to grow bigger, faster because of that. Okay, so you're going to have a better engine, better car, and it's going to bring you to your destination faster, smoother.
So after talking, right, about all this, is there anything that's come to your mind that you would say, like, I guess like another piece of advice, like something that you could give?
Maybe I would have said certain things that I said in the past, because not everything needs to be said. If you have an argument and you know there's a falling off or whatever, not everything that comes to mind is necessarily good to be said. And once it's out there, you can't take it back. Words can hurt more than punches or kicks, and they stay there. They leave an imprint. It's a dagger. Okay. Words were said to me, and I said words to some people, and I lost friends because of that. And there was no point. There's no point in getting angry and saying, you know what? Living well is the best revenge, like Shakespeare says. So you know what? If it's just that, you just chill and say, okay. Okay. If it's meant to be that we're not going to talk to each other, it's okay. You never know that down the road, where you were, the both of you, let's say your best friend, at one point one outgrew the other, and then, something happened and then separated. Maybe further down the road, something's going to reunite you, okay? But you're not going to feel the same about the reunion if some things were said and really hurtful, okay? So not everything needs to be said, okay? Act with your heart, okay? Act with a good intention, okay? Bringing good to someone, okay? That's my advice, think twice before saying something, okay? Negative, just be kind to each other. That's the biggest advice I can give you.
Yeah, and I mean, to kind of like, I guess a bit of a tangent, but still related, my dad always told me that there are 2 times in your life where you can tell what a person really thinks about you. When they're mad and when they're drunk.
True. When someone really blows their top and say, you know what, I always wanted to say this about you, and afterwards they say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. They kind of did, in my experience, okay? Same thing as when they're drunk, because that completely takes away one's inhibitions, okay? And they suddenly feel that they can talk, but then they realize they talk too much. So when you hear people angry or drunk say this, remember, forgive, but remember. Forgive, but don't forget, okay? Just remember, maybe there's another way that you're going to approach him differently the next time, because they just unleashed something. They just unveiled like true feelings they feel about you. So be careful on that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, right? It's a lot about who you can really trust, right? Like, another thing that my dad had always told me, right? And something that I'd come to figure out on my own as well, is that you can count the number of true friends you have on 2 hands, maximum. And if you think you can count more than that, then you need to get your circle down. Because if you were to go to the hospital tomorrow, I remember last year I was admitted to the hospital for heart problems, right? And I have a lot of good friends, a lot of them. But of all the friends that I had, there were only 2 that came to visit me. 2 guys I had known from elementary school that were always kind of like there, and we were always kind of like a trio, That's why, ask yourself, right? Like, if I was really in trouble, if I really had a problem, and if people had to go out of their way, right, to help me or to do this for me, how many of them would really be there? Because something that you come to learn is that a lot of people will view you as one of 2 things: a friend or a tool. And it doesn't have to be a tool necessarily in the sense that they're going to use you, right? Like, they're not going to use you for your money or your Xbox or whatever it might be. It might even just be that you're friends with the popular kids and they want to use you as a way to get in, right? Or maybe your mom lets you play video games as much as possible, so he wants to use you so that he can just play video games all day, right? So not necessarily in a material sense, but more so also in these ways of, like, I guess, social settings or stuff like that, where people will always view you, maybe you're the funny guy, right? And you can make people laugh, so people just want to be around you because you can make them laugh. But do they really care about you? Do they really, respect you as a person? Do they really think that you're that great? Or is it just that you're the guy that can be counted on for a good laugh every now and then?
The technique I had to find out who my real closest friends are is very simple way. My way is if I'm in trouble at 4:00 in the morning, can I call that person and will they come? That's my, so I have a few good friends. I don't have a ton. I have a few that I know that if I call at 4 a.m., they're going to come. They're going to be there. Others are acquaintances, and that it's okay. They're acquaintances, but you can have many friends. You can have 15 friends, but how many of these friends you've had for 15 years? So relationship and friendships, it's like a tree, you have to water it constantly, you can't just disregard or take it for granted. A friendship is it's a beautiful thing. It's as I was saying earlier about building human relationships. At the end of this journey, who did we touch? Who touched us? What souvenirs will they have of me? What did I leave behind? Is the planet a better place for having me on it, or did I just bring chaos in everybody's lives? Because there are out there people, like, I'm going to call them agents of chaos. Okay, but if they come into your life, take it as they are your teachers. Help them if you can, but at one point, it's like if you've ever had swimming courses, one of the first lessons, you try to save the person, but if they're bringing you under, you gotta let go. Okay, it's sad, but you have to let go and take it that he taught you something about yourself the time that he was in your life, but now you need to continue the journey.
It's funny that he says that, because I remember there was this one time when I was in 8th grade. I'll never forget it. And I was talking to this girl, and I would message her on Facebook every day after school. Probably the first girl that I had a real crush on that I was actually talking to. And I remember one day I was in my room and I was messaging her, and my dad comes in my room and he says, "Dantes, why are you frowning? Why do you look sad?" So I told him, I'm like, "Well, Dad, this girl I'm talking to, she's always anxious, or she's always depressed, or she's always worried about a test, and there's always something going on with her, So then he sat there and he looked at me and he said, Dantes, I have a question. So I said, yeah. He says, do you want to be her boyfriend or her therapist? And then I looked at him, and that was the last time I talked to her. It was then that you come to realize, that at the end of the day, people are supposed to provide value for your life. And it's not necessarily up to you to escort them through whatever troubles they're going to go through if they're just going to make your life more miserable along the way, right? Your first duty is to yourself. Then it's to the people around you that genuinely care. And then if you feel charitable, it's the others, right? But you can never sacrifice your own well-being just in the hopes that you can reach someone that doesn't want to be reached.
That's true. Always offer help. But not everybody, sadly, wants to be helped. Right now, there's a lot of importance put on victimhood. I'm a victim of this, I'm a victim of that, I'm a victim of this. I understand that something happened to you. Yes, we're going to use the word victim. You were a victim of this. You got assaulted. You were a victim of assault and all that. But the triumph is to overcome that. Don't always carry the label victim on you. If you overcome that, you're not a victim. You're a winner, and you're going to have that label on you. I'm a winner. This happened to me. Okay, and I survived this trial, this rough spot in my life. Okay, and I'm a winner. Okay, take it as, stop with this. I'm a victim, and then when you say it, your shoulders go. If you overcame it, you are a winner. That's it.
And to make like the first, I guess, league analogy, right, of the video, something that you can look at streamers who I guess have fallen off in skill, right? Look at streamers, and this applies to any game, who aren't as good as they used to be or who peaked. Something that you can always find in these people is that it's never their fault. There's always someone to blame. There's always an external factor that's independent of them. That's the issue. And it's not that they're bad that's holding them back. It's the fact that they can never find any way to improve. And it's the same thing, right? Where if you're going to sit there and you're always going to say, this happened, and because of this, I am allowed to sit in bed all day. I am allowed to not study. I am allowed to not go to the gym. I am allowed to not work because I have an excuse. Well, the only person that's ever going to be missing out is you. The only person that will ever sit there and will ever, I guess, suffer harm from that mentality is you. But if you can sit there and you can say, regardless of what I went through, regardless of anything that I've ever had to go through, I need to still push myself to become the best version of myself out of love for yourself, that's when you can actually overcome, right? Because what it is you need to love yourself enough to want to get better, to want to improve, to want to progress. And if you don't have that self-love, that's what will always keep you trapped in the same position that will leave you stagnant for years.
True. Then to add to that, you cannot love others if you don't love yourself. Okay? And you must have heard that from your parents 1,000 times. You talk bad about someone else because you're feeling something inside. You don't love yourself enough. You should love yourself if you only saw yourself in the mirror the way I see you. You're beautiful, you're caring, you have all of these qualities, and what's holding you back? You know what? Someone used to say it to me when I was young, and I say it to my kids. I said it years ago, but you can't love others if there's something that you don't love inside it. And because if there's something that you don't love of yourself inside of you, you're gonna project it on someone else who said, okay, that person has that. That's why I don't like it. Well, it could be that what you don't like in the other person kind of a reflection of how you are, and you find it easier to project it than to say, okay, let me work on myself, and I can only come out of this a winner by knowing it and thus changing my attitude towards others.
Yeah. All right, so before the video ends, is there I guess one kind of final send-off that you want to say? Like one last closing remark or anything at all.
Enjoy your life. Life is precious. Okay? Have fun, have fun. Okay? The world is beautiful. Go out there and explore the world. Talk to as many people as you can. Visit as many countries as you can. Travel the world. Do like Caine in Kung Fu and walk the earth. But everywhere you're gonna be as a purpose of stirring something inside of you, making you grow, so that when you come back home, okay, you're gonna be a better person. Okay, you can grow at home. You don't need to go to other countries. You can grow at home, but you cannot grow by staying closed up in your room, not going up. And I understand if you have 10,000 friends on Facebook. I understand that. But I'm talking about having an entourage, your family first of all, your cousins, and then everybody else that can come afterwards, your close friends, okay? It's okay about the 10,000 Facebook friends, but nurture the human relationships that are around you, okay? If you're with someone, put the phone down, listen, think, then talk, okay? Don't interrupt. You can learn so much just by observing and talking and listening, okay? So enjoy your life. Do what you were meant to do. Listen to your dream, listen to your passion, listen to your heart. Be kind to each other, okay? Ignore rather than confront, okay? Ignore rather than confront, okay? And you know what? Again, life is a gift, and cherish it, okay? Nourish it, okay? That's it.
Anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, and if there's enough positive feedback from this, then I can even do one, but instead of my dad, I can do life advice with my mom. So could be interesting. But anyways, thank you guys for listening, and hope this helped, and I will see you all for the next video. Peace.